All right, 21 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. You're inside the No Morning Show here on TTT, and we'll be speaking with the Used Car Dealers Association President Visham Babwa to just find out how they feel about the Prime Minister's announcement on Saturday that, the sector is reopened until according to the regulations. And of course, what they thought of the exemptions that have been used over the period, exemptions that are given to certain members of society. So let me just pause and say good morning to you, Visham Babwa, and thank you so much for being with us here on the Now Morning Show.
Good morning, Natalie, and I am very happy to be on your show this morning.
All right, thank you so much. So, used car dealers, the car dealership reopened. How does the sector feel about that? At least, how does the used car dealers feel about the fact that, motor vehicles are able to be sold at this time?
Natalie, we are very happy that we are able to open and resume business. Not for ourselves, but we have employees, they have families, and children has recently went up another classroom, another standard or form as the case may be, and these workers have to purchase books and other essential supplies. They have to put food on their table. We were able to provide our employees during the lockdown last year and this year to sustain them, so they could continue to live a comfortable life. Not fully comfortable, but at least they had enough to buy food and to live on comfortably, but it was getting a bit difficult. So, we are extremely happy to be able to resume operations.
Well, I'm definitely happy to hear that you were able to help your workers during the downtime, because I think that some businesses just leave the workers out there and be like, okay, we don't have any money. So that to me is commendable for the Used Car Dealers Association. But talk to us about, what the Minister of Finance announced in his budget presentation. I think that there were some changes to be made to what vehicles y'all could bring in and the amount. Have those initiatives taken place? Have they been put in places yet?
No, Natalie, yes. Now, in the budget, in the 2020 budget, they made changes to the policy to regulate the foreign used car industry. To regulate this industry is controlled by a policy, a government policy, and in that policy, the government, they at liberty, they can change it as they see it fit. For example, in 2020, they changed the permissible age of importation from 4 to 3 years. Now, previous to that, in 2016, they changed it from 6 to 4 years. It was difficult at 4 years to import cars for resale because whenever you purchase a car and the age, it becomes a newer car, the price becomes closer to a new car. So it becomes difficult to sell the car, and the persons who are looking for a cheap car, again, it becomes difficult for them to qualify for the loan to purchase this car. So that was one measure where they moved the age from 4 to 3 years. They also reduced our quota. We had a big reduction in our quota of 30%. Now remember, we have persons who have very small quotas. They're 15 and 20 and 30 cars for the year. And when you reduce these people quota by 30%, a person with 20 cars might lose about 6 cars. He might end up with 14. A person with 15 cars would lose like about 4 or 5 cars. So he would end up with something about 10 or 11 cars. And this is for the entire year. They also reinstated the taxes on the electric and hybrid cars, the full taxes, and they reduced the taxes on the non-hybrid cars under 1600 cc. This is a global thing, and this is the only country that reduced taxes on non-hybrid cars. The world has gone hybrid and electric, more so electric now, and they are giving their citizens the exemption to purchase these cars for more than one reason. It's not just about a finance minister collecting money, although you might say you need money, but it's about our environment. It's about the cost to the citizens themselves, and it's about health reasons for persons. So you have various advantages when you give the exemption on these cars. And these changes I'm telling you about, Natalie, has already caused serious problems within this industry, because after...
What kind of problems have they caused, Mr. Babo?
Yeah, we are unable to import cars that would be affordable again. Because if you're going to buy a car, Natalie, let's say you're going to buy a car for 100.
So you're saying that the Used Car Dealers Association, none of its members have bought any cars since the changes were made?
We bought cars, and like myself, I bought cars to the end of last year, and maybe for this year, where I would have bought a lot of cars already, I maybe only purchased about 20 cars for this year, because of the fact that the prices are running so close to the new cars. If you're going to buy a car that is costing $160,000, a new one, and you're buying a used one for $135,000, $140,000, you'll prefer to buy a new one. And that is what is happening.
Okay. Mr. Babo, thank you for that clarity in terms of, whether or not these initiatives had already been put in place. And, I think that even though you're telling me that you all are able to buy less cars, is that the quota is also reduced. So it might work out that way. But I hear the argument for, consumers and customers paying more for a vehicle. But I also know that they're getting a vehicle that might be more roadworthy and might, last a longer time because it's a younger vehicle. So I think all around, everybody can benefit in some way, even though there are things that, it's like a give and take. So you get a younger car, you get a more roadworthy car, but you have to pay more for it.
No, Natalie, it doesn't really work so, Natalie. A car is not really a year or 2 years don't really make a big, because we had this issue and we dealt with this issue since 2010, and we were able to show the ministry, the government then, that a 6-year-old car was as good as a 3-year-old car. And even with the foreign used car that we import, these are vehicles that is manufactured in Japan. The standards are higher. The emission controls, the safety system, everything is superior to the car that is imported locally. And we were able to show them that the foreign used car that we were importing were even lasting longer. We have foreign used cars that we bought in 20 years here in Trinidad, and they are working fine and perfect now. So the age doesn't matter, but usage and maintenance is extremely important. In a car, you could buy a brand new car, and in a matter of 2 or 3 years, you might not want to even sit in that car. And you could buy.
But as you said, you all are importing from Japan, where it is far more superior. So I'm not even going to worry about that. But Mr. Babu, I don't want us to use up all the time talking about, the measures in the budget and what were changed. We really came here to talk about, the fact that the car dealerships were open for business, but the public health regulations have said, that you're open until further notice. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, Natalie, when the Prime Minister made the announcement on Saturday, he said, well, car dealerships and the additional manufacturing sector would be opened up. But when I saw the news, it was, I think, Sunday night, I saw that the health minister, in his statement, he said that on a temporary basis. And this was kind of troubling to me, because I didn't hear the Prime Minister say anything about a temporary basis. And there was no clarity and no additional information given as to what this temporary measure means. And up till now, we have not received any additional information saying what this temporary basis means. So I am very concerned about this. A temporary basis without any rise in case or something would I don't know what that means, and I'm still really trying to get some information, and I can't get any information on that.
Maybe it's just, as you said, maybe the temporary basis will be based on, what the cases look like and what the scenario looks like. Maybe it's going to be based on that if the cases go back up, that we might have to close back certain things.
I am hoping so. And if the case, no, Natalie, last year when we were open just before the Easter period, all businesses were open in this country, and we really were operating with all the protocols, and we didn't have a drastic increase in cases for a very long period of time. After the whole I don't really want to go into what caused what and what is what, because that would be another argument. But now we are open back up again, and I want to advise and tell every businessman that is allowed to open their business, we don't want to go in another lockdown. So make sure that you adhere to all health protocols, and if you have your own additional one that you could add in, you can do it. For example, I am only allowing people to view cars by appointments. If somebody should come in and there are too many persons with them, 4 or 5 persons, which is very rare, because most likely most times 1 or 2 persons would come to view a car. So within an hour or so, you can have 1 or 2 persons come into your premises, and that should assist a lot with keeping the virus away.
Right. So you can do appointments, keep the virus away, but still be able to have people constantly viewing your vehicles appointments.
Yes. And I think the automotive sale is one of the areas that you don't have too much of congregating of people, too much congregation, because when people come to view a car, maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 persons will come, and then you can social distance, and people are, before we had the second lockdown, people were very intelligent. When they come with like about 3 persons, they themselves would say, okay, well, mom or dad, you go, we will remain in the car. People are aware of what is happening, and they are not taking any chances.
Right. Well, Mr. Babo, I know that the Used Car Dealership Association also have issues with the exemptions that are given to ministers and other government workers. Talk to me, why are these exemptions a problem?
Right. Natalie, nobody was on these government exemptions in a year. Nobody was really, I think people wasn't aware of it, and people wasn't bothered about it. But in 2016, in 2016, exemption was given to the citizens of this country for the first time to purchase a hybrid or electric car. And in 2017, when the finance minister took it back, he took it back and he said, this is a wastage of taxpayers' money, and if you want to drive it, pay for it. And then they reinstated all the taxes on the citizens. And then, now I'm talking about the same public servants who may be getting the exemption or who may be not getting the exemption, when they are seeing every 2 years a minister or a high public official who are the top earner in this country. These people are earning the top monies in this country, the highest salaries, and they get other perks with it. They will get traveling allowance. For example, a minister will purchase a car. This car was supposed to be purchased for the use on the job, but they would leave their car home. They will go to the ministry. They will have a ministry vehicle pick them up, and they will won't have to put fuel. They will have a chauffeur. They have everything that goes with it. So when these people see this, then the documents were leaked, and a reporter did an investigation, and when she did the investigation, she realized that the biggest beneficiaries of this were the politicians, and every 2 years they could get a vehicle exempted for whatever taxes it is, and it ran into, in some cases, up to $1.2 million in exemption. So if a person is in politics for 10 years as an MP or a minister, and every 2 years they could buy a car and they could save $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, then in a 10-year period, they have saved a lot of money. And it's not savings, because after now, they will resell this vehicle at the market value. So if I and you have to pay the taxes, then they will resell the value for the same price that we are selling our vehicles. And that's not the problem. But it was the first time that the citizens got an exemption, and in very, very difficult times, you came and you told the citizens, well, this is a wastage of taxpayers' money, and we need the money. So it is this, in the same hand, we need the money for all the vehicles that are being imported in this country now. And Natalie, the reporter also uncovered, it is the only country in the Commonwealth and maybe in the world that has this sort of exemption, which is ridiculous, because you cannot have citizens of this country literally cannot eat food, cannot buy food, cannot educate their children, right? They have all sort of social ills we have now. And you telling me a prime minister or opposition leader, whoever it is, they are saying that we should keep this? No, I am calling on the opposition this morning, since they say that they are not in support of this, right? That they should take a motion to Parliament and let's see if they can get support from the independent benches, because the SRC could only recommend. They can only recommend. They cannot enforce. So I don't know who can enforce. If the Parliament have to enforce, there must be a law, because this cannot be something that is out of the reach of the law.
Mm-hmm. But one correction, I know that the Prime Minister said on Saturday that, you know, with the exemption and people buying vehicles is that they have to drive their own vehicles and not necessarily, you know, buying vehicles with taxpayers' money to move them around. So that's where the exemption kind of came in.
Yeah, but Natalie, but that is not happening, and that will not happen. Because if this same Prime Minister said at the end of last year, when the same issue raised its head, he said that he was going to cabinet to get a cap on this of $350,000. So I don't know which legal team. He said he has spoken to the lawyers and legal team. Which, if the Prime Minister said that and the Parliament could change this law, which legal team could tell him he cannot change it? The same way you have changed it for the citizens is the same way it can be changed. So I see no problem with it. And I mean every 2 years, Natalie, this is something has to be wrong with the citizens of this country if we are just accepting this belly up and not complaining about this in these difficult times.
Right. All right, Mr. Babwa, we are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. So you're saying you're calling on the opposition leader to take a motion to the Parliament to get an exemption, to get the exemption to vehicles, revoked?
To stop, yes, this exemption should be stopped, because everybody in this country know we are going through difficult times. We are talking now about land tax. We are talking about removal of all subsidies in this country right now. Not only fuel subsidy, we are talking about electricity, we are talking about water, we are talking about land tax, we are talking about every so the citizens literally will not be gaining anything from any form of subsidy from the government. So this is something should be stopped. Until further notice, until our economy gets back up and running again. Because if each minister and MP, if 41 individuals import car every 2 years, and you're talking about between $500,000 and $1 million in exemption, Natalie, we can do a lot with that money.
All right, Mr. Babwa.
I'm calling on them to take this to the Parliament, get the support of the independent, if they have to get the president involved, and this should be stopped immediately.
All right, Mr. Babwa, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning, and I hope that the politicians are listening and will take on board your suggestion to get the exemptions for the politicians stopped.
Thank you very much, Natalie.
You're most welcome. Vishen Babwa there talking to us, and he's calling on the opposition leader to take a motion to Parliament to get the exemptions to all of these people who enjoy exemptions on vehicles stopped until further notice. We take a break and we'll be back with you.